is conducted for environmental, avian, and wildlife, and electromagnetic interference impacts. The document recommends that the applicant shall conduct a shadow flicker analysis at all occupied structures. The analysis shall identify problem areas where shadow flicker may affect occupants of the structure and describe measures that shall be taken to eliminate or mitigate the problems. The document recommends that the applicant submit a decommissioning plan. The plan should include the anticipated life of the project, the estimated decommissioning cost, the method of ensuring that funds will be available for decommissioning and restoration, and the anticipated manner in which the project will be decommissioned and the site restored. And finally, the document recommends that the applicant shall develop a process to resolve complaints from nearby residents concerning the construction or operations of the project. Those are just summary notes from two documents off of the Michigan government website relating to siting guidelines for wind energy systems. I can continue if you'd like. That's fine. Okay. The next document is one called Michigan Land Use Guidelines for Siting Wind Energy Systems. This document looks like it was published by Michigan State University Extension, and the author was Michael Kleppinger. The publication date is October 2007. Recommends different guidelines for on-site use and for utility scale wind energy systems. And it says issues to be addressed through guidelines include tower height, setbacks. Document states that when applied to wind turbine setbacks address two potential issues: equipment failure and ice throw. The document itself suggests setbacks of 1 to 1.5 times the height. For noise levels, document indicates that there's three sources of noise: turbine blades passing through the air, the spinning generator, and the moving gears. The document states that all wind turbines emit low frequency, mid-range, and high frequency sound capable of that can be perceived for some distance. Common sound levels selected from the table of the document. It talks about a quiet house, interior, or rural evening is 20 dBA, and a quiet rural area or theater interior is 40 dBA. Document states that sound levels of 55 dBA outdoors, 45 dBA indoors are identified by the EPA as preventing activity, interference, and annoyance. Here's my comment. The document does not identify this as either daytime levels or nighttime levels, and appears to assume application during waking hours. And there was no consideration in the document given to sleep disturbance effects, which may occur at levels near 30 dB LAQ. Shadow flicker, described as what happens when rotating blades come between the viewer and the sun, causing an intermittent shadow. Document does not mention the light strobing effect. Document references the Michigan Siting Guidelines for Wind Energy Systems, which I just read in. The recommendation that utility grid systems should have a shadow flicker analysis submitted that identifies the locations of shadow flicker that may be caused by the project and the expected duration of the flicker at these locations from sunrise to sunset over the course of the year. The analysis should also describe measures that the installer will take to eliminate or mitigate effects. The document does not address an acceptable level of shadow flicker. How many hours per year is acceptable? I mean, the document doesn't say that. And if I remember right, the zoning guidelines do not address that as well. Related to birds, bats, and avian impacts, the document recommends that local officials take note of avian mortality risk and require an avian and wildlife impact analysis for utility scale installation. The document reference section includes information from various Michigan communities with wind systems. The information includes community name, noise level regulation, setback regulation, Required studies before and after construction, maximum height and blade clearance from the ground. So basically, I mean, it's information. It's not necessarily, intended to provide answers, but it's information that that is available within Michigan. Okay, I'll continue. The next document is just a real, even though there's a lot of pages in here, this document is called the Report of the Impact of Setback Requirements and Noise Limitations in Wind Zones in Michigan. This report was published by the Michigan Public Service Commission, Department of Energy, Labor, and Economic Growth. It was based on information provided by the Wind Energy Resource Zone Board. The report was published in January of 2010. The scope of the report was to provide the Michigan Public Service Commission with an analysis of how various setback distances would impact wind turbine development within the 4 geographic regions in Michigan identified as having the greatest wind energy potential. My interpretation of the report is that it addresses the commercial aspect of wind turbine projects. So the Wind Energy Resource Zone Board provided estimates of wind turbine development in each of Michigan's 4 greatest potential geographic regions based on changing setbacks from 200 meters to either 300 or 400 meters. And the estimates are as follows. In Region 1, and in this document I don't have a description of what each region is. But Region 1, if you change the setback from 200 meters to 300 meters, then it reduces the number of turbines in that area by 33%. In the same region, if you change the setback from 200 meters to 400 meters, you reduce the number of wind turbines by 59%. Region 2, if you change to 300 meters, it's 26% reduction. Change to 400 meters, it's 47% reduction. Region 3, 300 meters is 25% reduction. 400 meters is 47% reduction. Region 4, 300 meters is 34% reduction, and 400 meters is 61%. The average for all 4 of these regions is that if you change from 200 meter setback to 300 meter setback, you have a 32% reduction in turbines, and if you change it to a 400 meter setback, then you have a 58% reduction in turbines available. And that's based on the maximum number of turbines that could be sited in that area. The Michigan Public Service Commission concluded that these issues should be guided by 2 fundamental principles. First, the setback distances and noise limitations should be determined based on the best scientific evidence. Second, these matters should be decided at the local level where feasible so that the needs of local citizens can be appropriately considered. The MPSC allowed for public hearings and comments. 3 hearings were held simultaneously via teleconference and web conferencing between Lansing, Bad Axe, and Traverse City. In addition to addressing the issues directly relevant to the report, comments were filed on a variety of important and tangential matters, including health and safety, setback distances, shadow flicker, real estate and property values, economic development, effects on wildlife, and state versus local control. Comments on the issues, as summarized in the report, sounded like some of the township meetings that we've had. You have people on both sides. And that's really the comment I'm making on that. However, it's interesting to note that there were comments submitted by RES Americas, Wind Capital Group, John Deere Renewables, Wind on the Wires, and NextEra Energy Resources that recommended that setback requirements be based on sound science. So, question to Exelon and Blissville Wind: has Ogden ever received written documents supporting sound science on And I think maybe that's what we're getting in this package, but I don't know if up to this point have we received anything in writing yet that would actually support the science of setbacks. I don't know if we have or not. I'm not aware of anything.
We haven't got anything.
And the reason I ask that is because this report is from January of 2010, and I would have thought that, you know, by now, these companies that commented on sound science would have had documentation to support that statement. And if there is any such documentation, we would like to get that if we can.
Yeah, we'll give you our package here today in the public comment, and our recommended limits are based on the World Health Organization recommendation for 45 dBA outside bedroom windows. So we would consider that to be sound science.
They recommend that for wind turbines, or is that any sound?
Does the WHO?
Yeah, because, I mean, wind
It
turbine
does
makes a
not say
difference.
specifically
Right,
wind
okay, so it's
turbines,
not
no.
just for wind turbines, so that's any sound is what you're suggesting. Because wind turbine noise makes a different type of sound than normal nut sound at 45 decibel, because it goes 45, nothing, 45, nothing, 45, nothing, instead of 45 car going by. So, I mean, is that basically set up for wind turbines or not? And that's not.
I
Correct.
think you're aware that it doesn't specifically say wind
Right.
turbines next to that recommendation. However, it is an overall recommendation in their executive summary and conclusions that that's the appropriate limit. Outside of a bedroom window to not interrupt sleeping.
Right,
Open
but the
bedroom.
ISO says 25 decibels for proper seating, and that's the International Standards Organization, which you guys are subject to when you build your turbines and keep under ISO. Why don't you go with that limit?
I would have to discuss that with I'm not familiar with that limit. I would have to
Right.
review that.
Couple more comments on this report. The report did include comments from residents in Hoobly who reported feeling nauseated and experiencing headaches as a result of shadow flicker from a nearby turbine. Let's see, other residents reported not experiencing any negative health effects from living near a wind farm. The report includes a discussion on real estate and property values, specifically referencing the Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratories report issued December of 2009. The LBL analysis summarized approximately 7,500 real estate transactions of homes located from 800 feet to over 5 miles from the nearest turbine, from as much as 2 years prior to the announcement of the planned wind facilities to more than 4 years after their construction. The LBL report conclusion is as follows. Based on the data sample and analysis presented here, no evidence is found that home prices surrounding wind facilities are consistently, measurably, and significantly affected by either the view of the wind facility or the distance of the home to the facilities. Although the analysis cannot dismiss the possibility that individual homes or small numbers of homes have been or could be negatively impacted. Then the report also included public comments regarding the economic development and job growth. Wind Capital and John Deere Renewables commented that wind turbines will create jobs, boost the local economy and tax base, along with providing a new source of revenue to farmers and ranchers who lease land for wind development. The majority of the jobs created will be temporary during the construction phase, with a few permanent jobs related to ongoing operations and maintenance. So that was that document.